All right. Coming to you live from Philly. It's the number one rated Paulie and Tony Fusco show. As always, Paulie Fusco here with Tony Fusco and Tony. Huge show today.
Let's go.
Eagles undefeated since Sirianni shaved his head. We're going to give you stats about that head shaving and that haircut that are going to blow your mind and also make you slightly concerned. Also, we're going to shake up the whole NFL MVP conversation with a name you totally won't see coming. Well, you actually will see coming.
Yeah, exactly. You know, unless you're dumb or you're stupid, then
then you know. But also, we're bringing on a guest today, Tony. You know, we got to say, we're very impressed that this guy had the stones to come on this show.
Yeah.
For all these years. Let's see if he has the balls to stay here, though. Former Washington head coach Jay Gruden. And, we're going to see if he thinks Jayden Daniels reminds him of RG3 in the way he was once good and now totally sucks.
Yep, we're going to find out soon.
But just quick, we got to get in a quick word from our newest sponsor, our good friends at Bic Razors. As you know, Nick Sirianni is now undefeated since shaving his head. And that's all because of Bic Razors.
Yeah.
Now, you're probably sitting there wondering, Paulie, Tony, why haven't you shaved your head? Well, Tony did shave his head on Sunday, right, Tony? Yeah, he did.
Absolutely.
But he has so much masculine energy that the testosterone flowing through his veins that his hair already grew back.
I shaved it right before the Eagles game. By the end of the day, it grew all back completely.
Just amazing. So there you
much
go.
Energy,
Anyway, but still, Bic Razors shaves as close as a blade of your money back. All right, let's...
Wait, that's Remington. It's a totally different company.
Why are you talking?
Yeah. I'm going to ram my Carrington into your body if you don't shut up. Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
Just cost us millions of dollars probably in an ad read.
Bro.
Anyway. All right. Anyway, look, let's not waste any more time. Let's just get right into our top story.
Top story.
As we told you, the big story, of course, the Eagles now a perfect 8-0 since Nick Sirianni shaved his head. But again, Tony, the hair is starting to grow back, which is just very concerning, isn't it?
You know, they only beat the Ravens by 5 points. In fact, look at this graphic. As you can see, when Nick Sirianni's hair was shorter, the Eagles won those first 5 games by an average of 16.2 points. Whoa. But when the hair started growing back and getting fuller, they only won those next 3 games by 10 points. So this clearly proves if the Eagles want a bigger margin of victory, Nick Sirianni needs to slice off a bigger margin of hair.
Just terrific hair analysis there, Tony. And now another thing that's been troubling in all of this. People, they've started referring to Nick Sirianni as Baldiani.
What?
Yeah, exactly. That's not even a pun.
Yeah, it's not even funny.
You're just putting 2 words together. That's not creative. I mean, Tony, before the show, we sat down for what? 2-3 minutes?
2-3 seconds.
It came up with a bunch of great names. Tell them those names we came up with.
Yeah, listen to these. Footballed genius. Like football, except football.
Nope, great one.
Okay, then there's Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni plus Sinead O'Connor. Perfectly fits.
Yep.
And then there's Mr. Clean Record.
Yep.
Because he's undefeated while looking like the guy from the famous household cleaning products.
Yep.
And then also Bic Nick.
Yep.
As in Bic Razor, which is just great brand cross promotion.
Just so brilliant, Tony.
I really love all of them.
But basically impossible to choose that, Tony. Anyway, to another annoying story. Pro Football Talk's fool Mike Florio just published a story saying the MVP race is down to 2 people, Saquon Barkley and Bills QB Josh Allen.
What?
Now, exactly. Shouldn't Jalen Hurts be in the MVP conversation?
Of course.
I mean, who do you think is the one handing the ball to Saquon? I mean, handing off is a very important skill.
100%. Handing off is the most important skill any athlete or even any person can have.
Yep.
Think of toll booth operators. If they can't hand off your change to you properly, not only would you lose money, there'd be millions of lost dimes getting fumbled onto the ground every day. The entire transportation system would get backed up and then shut down because people would be needing to get out of their cars to pick up all that fumbled money. That's what you call a most valuable player. Toll booth operators and Jalen Hurts. Frankly, it's clear Jalen and Saquon should be co-MVPs.
Terrific football and also civic analysis that Tony and, now we have to talk about one of the biggest coaching snafus in the history of time. You know, as we always say on this show, you can tell everything about a coach by his name, right, Tony? You know, look at
100%.
Sirianni, right? Well, that comes from the Italian for serious, right? That's
perfect.
Good.
Andy
Reid, well, reading is good.
Of course.
Good. But you look at that Bears coach, Matt Eberflus.
Oh, disaster.
Well, we knew that was a problem right there, Tony, didn't we?
Just look at his name, Eberflus. The word lose was sitting right there the whole time. And look at the coach the Bears had before him, Matt Nagy. Nag. Who wants that?
Nobody.
You know, and exactly nobody. And now you look at their interim coach, Thomas Brown. You want someone who's named after the worst football team in history? Just another bad move by the Bears.
Just perfect name analysis there, Tony. And on the subject of terrible piss-poor teams, you know, the Jets now, they're scrambling for answers as to what to do with Aaron Rodgers, you know, now that he's somehow managing to suck even worse. Well, people, the answer is sitting right there under their nose.
Right there.
You know, and we're not talking about backup quarterbacks.
No.
They're all garbage too. But Tony, you had such a great, simple idea. Tell the people.
4 words, New Jersey Turnpike. It's sitting right there next to the stadium. And it's a tried and true method that's worked many times in the past. You know, late one night, you're like, hey, Aaron, let's go out and get something to eat. You're driving back there in the marshes in the Meadowlands. You know, you see one of those good deep ditches and, oh, Aaron, what's that? You open the door, you give him a little shove and a little pop, pop, pop. You know, done. And if the next morning anyone's like, hey, has anyone seen Aaron? You just have to say, oh, I think he went on one of those darkness retreats. I'm sure he's fine. And then boom, problem solved.
Problem solved. Just a great breakdown there, Tony. And there's that sound. You know what that means. It's time to open up your Fusco bet app and get ready for Tony's Can't Lose Bet of the Week. Tony, what you got?
Let's go. This is my can't lose bet for this week's Eagles-Panthers matchup. You know, the Panthers are coming off 2 surprisingly strong efforts, nearly beating the Bucs and the Chiefs. That's why I think this contest will be much closer than previously thought. Originally, I had the Eagles beating the Panthers by only 89 points by a score of 91-2, with the 2 coming when Jalen Hurts accidentally kneels in the end zone at the end of the game. But you know, Bryce Young is making some major leaps forward, so we have to take that into consideration. That's why I now have the Eagles winning by a score of 91-5. Take that to the bank. Boom. Book it.
Download the Fusco Bet app now. Due to ongoing litigation, Fusco Bet may only be used off the eastern coast of Jamaica. Fusco Bet is not responsible for any fees incurred from cell service or boat rentals. All winnings will likely be seized by local authorities and may result in a warrant from Interpol. Fusco Bet. There you go, Tony. And I see our guest is coming on the line, so let's bring him on the Fusco Satellite Network.
Fusco Satellite Network.
Okay, this guy, you know, we'll give him credit. He's done a few things in the game of football, you know, won a Super Bowl on the Bucs, right? You know, with that staff, and, you know, considered one of the greatest players in Arena League history, which was headquartered, as you know, right here in Philly, under the leadership of the great president, Ron Jaworski.
The best.
But that's not why we brought him on the show at all. So, you know, forget all about that. He's here, obviously, because he's the former coach of the continually terrible Washington Commanders, whose ass we kick every year. He knows that. He had a losing record in his career versus the Eagles 5-6, which makes him a loser by definition. Anyway, here he is, Jay Gruden. Welcome to the show.
Hey, it's great to be here, fellas. Thanks for having me.
He's handling that with class.
And I was never the head coach. I was never the head coach of the Commanders, just so you know. It was the Washington Redskins. Don't be afraid to say Redskins.
Oh, no, we're not.
There we go. We are not canceled.
You won't get canceled. It's okay.
No, and trust us.
Just so for our audio listeners, he is wearing a USA hat.
Yeah.
Spoken like a true patriot.
Yeah,
there you go.
He's off to a good start, I got to say, Paulie. He's off to a good start here.
Let's go back. You couldn't have forgotten this. Your career record with Washington, 35-49. Okay. Looking at the success that Nick Sirianni is having since shaving his head, totally undefeated.
Yeah.
You always had a nice, healthy head of hair. Looking back now, do you regret not shaving your head?
I would have shaved my head. I would have shaved my wife's head if it meant winning more games. Hell.
Oh, that's what you're into. Okay.
See.
Yeah. I don't mind doing that at all. But
dedication.
I got a great head of hair. I got a colic. I like my hair too much. Winning's not that important, is it?
I guess not for you, bro.
Sirianni looks kind of stupid with that shaved head anyway. He should wear a hat.
Whoa.
Tell Sirianni wear a hat on the sideline and quit yelling at the fans, would you?
Well, that's called the intimidation factor. Something you didn't have with that beautiful soft hair of yours.
Yeah.
It's a good point. The more you can do on a sideline, the better you can be. Shave your head, yell at the fans, go for two and you don't have to. I mean, it's awesome.
You sound jealous. I think you're jealous of his record and his smooth head.
I don't like anything about Philadelphia. I am jealous. I do think he's a hell of a coach.
You lost there, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what's your big problem? That we beat your ass too much? Is that your beef with us?
I think we beat you and won a Division I. You're at your place. I think we sent Chip Kelly home. Remember that?
We sent Chip Kelly home.
We also sent Chip Kelly home. Exactly.
All right. Look, we didn't bring you on here to discuss Eagles, okay? They're undefeated. Nothing to talk about. Let's talk about crappier teams like your ex-Commanders.
Yeah.
After that 3-game skid, right, they went out and they beat the Titans 42-19. Now, I don't want to sound, un-PC, as they say, but isn't that like when you sleep with an unattractive, cow, and it's like you did it, but, it's nothing to call home about?
Yeah, you don't want to tell your friends about it,
No, I don't think it's like that at all. I think it was a big win. They had a 3-game losing streak. Jayden Daniels came out, played well early. They jumped at him 28-0 before they could even get off the bus. It was a big confidence booster. They're playing Philly coming around the corner, so be careful about these Commanders. This Jayden
you mean when we already beat them?
Yeah, they need to be careful of us.
Careful. Don't you guys get all big-headed now because you won a couple games against the New York Giants and
you sound very bitter. Is that because of the 5-6 record? What happened against Philly that made you such a bitter human being?
The Grudens were forced to be bitter. We're all bitter humans right now. So yeah, I'm bitter. I don't like Philadelphia. I don't like Dallas. I do like Washington though because I like Jayden Daniels.
No, but when you look at Jayden Daniels, right? You coached RG3, very similar to Jayden Daniels. Does he remind you of RG3 and how he's having a precipitous fall from stardom?
No, not at all. RG3 is totally different than Jayden. They're different people, different quarterbacks. RG3 did have a lot of success his rookie year, as is Jayden. But I think Jayden will be able to sustain it a little bit better with his skill set.
Okay, so you're saying it would be wrong to call Jayden Daniels RG4 as we've been calling him?
Yeah, I think that would be definitely wrong. Yes.
Okay.
Can you explain?
Maybe Lamar 2, maybe something like that, a little more closer to realistic.
What is the difference between Jayden Daniels and RG3? I mean, because all I just see is a bunch of hype and crappy football.
Yeah, stat padding. That's all.
Stat padding. I think Jayden had 5 years in college as a player. He's played a couple years at Arizona State, a couple years at LSU. RG3 really had one good year at Baylor. So Jayden had a lot more schooling coming up in college. He was able to do more of the drop back passing game. RG3 did a little bit at Baylor, not a whole lot. Then he had the rookie year, and then he hurt his leg. Then he was forced to become more of a drop back quarterback. He just wasn't quite ready to do that. Jayden has the ability to be a drop back quarterback. He has accuracy, touch, and anticipation, and a great arm. So that's a difference.
But also, if you breathe on him, you'll break like 2 of his ribs.
He does have some sore ribs, or he did anyway, but not anymore, as evidence against the Tennessee Titans 42-19 shellacking.
Whoa. What's up with you and the Titans? You're acting like they're the 72 Dolphins or something.
The Titans just beat the Houston Texans on the road the week before. You guys do realize that, right? They do have Jeffrey Simmons and Harold Landry, and they have Calvin Ridley. They have some good players. Not like they have a bunch of scrubs. Pollard's a good player. They have some good linemen. Hell, they have good players.
I honestly have to say I don't know any of the names you just mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, what doesn't surprise me, you don't know anything about any names of football. It doesn't surprise me. I'm just telling you.
Oh, you
Oh,
kidding?
right,
Are you kidding?
Move on. Look, you want to talk names of football. Let's talk about who you had on that coaching staff in Washington, okay? You had Sean McVay and you had Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah,
okay. They go on to success after coaching with you. Is that because you taught them so much or because you suck so much? Just tell us.
Probably a combination. I did teach them a little bit, taught them how to drink some coffee and, drink a beer, I guess, but no.
On the job.
These guys are both very intelligent guys. We work together very well, and they went on to great success. And me, I just waddle around on the beach and play golf.
Oh, well, there's your problem right there.
Yeah.
Were you doing that while you coached the Commanders?
A little bit, I think so, yeah.
I think that explains the 5-6 record.
Yeah. Actually, I was 0-5 the year I got fired, so I'll correct you there, too.
We were about to bring that up for the record.
If you taught them so well and now you're seeing the success, do you ever think about I should sue these guys for taking like the plays that I taught
plagiarism,
them? Yeah.
I never thought about that. Is that a possibility? How much do you think I can get for that?
Well,
everybody's suing everybody nowadays. Maybe
exactly.
Settle out
so you'd be like, hey, that's my play. Hey, the trap play, that's my play. Yeah. And then, copyright infringement.
Hey, I ran that against Philadelphia for a 40-yard touchdown. You remember that?
No, nobody.
We don't remember.
Nobody remembers now.
You remember the little slant takeoff to Pierre Garçon in the corner of the end zone against Chip Kelly for a touchdown to seal the deal?
Again, the whole Chip Kelly thing. We don't acknowledge those years. In fact, I forgot he was the coach of the Eagles until you reminded me.
Okay.
So,
yeah, exactly.
All right. Let's move on here to the Bears. Okay. What we say is you can tell a lot by everything. You can tell a lot about a coach by his name, right? Like Sirianni comes from Sirius, Italian for serious, right? Andy Reid, well, reading is good.
Yeah.
Right? Look at your name, Gruden. You're rude, which makes sense.
Good for a coach.
It's good for a coach. Not so great for this interview, but okay. Matt Eberflus has the word lose right there in his name. Eberflus.
Lose.
Shouldn't we have known right there that was a problem?
That is something that I'm sure that the ownership in Chicago did not look into, and I'm sure they probably wish they would have. So maybe you guys are onto something there. I mean, let's just see.
Did you analyze names when you were picking coaches?
No,
like O'Connell. No. Sounds like he's a con man. I'm probably going to steal all my plays.
He did, and he did go on to another. I think you guys are onto something there.
See, that's what
Would you have called a timeout with Caleb Williams, or you just let him go there at the end?
Let's let him go there, run the clock out. Who cares? They're not going to win it anyway.
Exactly.
There you go.
Bravo.
Last thing we want to do is go into overtime and watch.
Exactly. Why waste everybody's time?
Yeah.
Exactly. Everyone was waiting for that game to be over. All right. So he's still his coaching's still working. Coaching mind.
Yeah, that's good coaching.
Let's talk Aaron Rodgers, okay? The Jets, they're wondering how to get rid of this guy. Okay, because there's a contract problem. Tony has a great solution. Just listen to this, Jay.
Yeah, late one night, you just take him out. You say, hey, Aaron, let's go get something to eat, And then you drive back there in the Meadowlands, back there in the marshes. And Aaron's like, hey, where are we? You're like, oh, don't worry. It's just down the block. And then all of a sudden, you open the door. Hey, Aaron, could you go over there for a second? Give him a little shove. Then pop, pop, pop. And then the next morning, if anyone asks, hey, where's Aaron? He's like, oh, he went on one of his darkness retreats. Probably won't be seeing him anymore.
Great idea. Your thoughts, Coach?
I don't think that'd be a good idea. You might go to jail for that one for life. And Aaron's not a bad guy. He doesn't deserve to be shot in the head 3 times.
I didn't say that. I just,
okay.
Well, didn't you ever consider doing that with, Case Keenum or somebody? Hey, you made me 0-5. Goodbye.
Case is a great guy. Don't ever talk bad about Case. He's a good guy. And he does the backup quarterback commercial. You see those on TV? Those are sweet.
I have not seen those.
Hey, those must be airing during Commanders Titans games, which we are absolutely not watching.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Look, we all know the big topic, Coach. Okay, let's just see if you got your head on straight. Just get rid of your Philly bias here, okay, for a moment. Okay. People are saying there are only 2 names right now for MVP. They're saying Saquon Josh Allen? What about Jalen Hurts? Okay. Who do you think is handing the ball off to Saquon? You were a quarterback. Don't you think that's the most important thing? Handing the ball off?
Who handed the ball off to Barry Sanders and Walter Payton and Jim Brown? Do you remember?
Are you kidding me?
So, exactly.
We always said Eric Kramer and Scott Mitchell not getting their fair due.
Well, then you got to give it to Cam Jurgens, right? He touches the ball first and hands the ball to Jalen Hurts. So why did he get any love? Why? He spins the ball over and he snaps the ball, and then Jalen gets it and gives it to Saquon. And then Jurgens has to block. So I think Jurgens should get double duty.
Actually, Tony, this is not bad.
Now that I think about it, I got to say,
Coach, that's some terrific analysis. We need to have 3 MVPs.
I got to say, I'm kind of impressed, Paulie.
Okay, Coach. Well, while you're on a roll here, how about this?
Yep.
The Eagles now 8-0 with Sirianni bald. Who do you see them facing in the Super Bowl this year?
Flip your coin. Heads, Kansas City. Tails, Buffalo. How's that?
Okay. So,
but, however, it ain't going to be Philly.
Whoa.
Wait. What do you mean it ain't going to be Philly?
What do you mean it ain't going to be Philly?
Come on, man. There's so many tush pushes you can do. They're gonna gas it.
You want to see a push? You want to see a push
right now, Coach?
I'm going to give you a hard push off the show. Get out of here! You're off the show. Gruden.
Rude Gruden off the show.
You need to take off that USA hat. We're deporting you off the show. Get out of here.
Fusco Satellite Network.
Is he off the line?
Jay, hang up the phone.
We're never having that jealous loser on the show again. That's what that is.
Yeah, we're updating his record against the Eagles to 5-7 because that counts as a loss.
There, exactly, Tony.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's not let him ruin, which was otherwise just a terrific show. Of course, we want to thank our sponsors, our good friends at Bic Razors.
Thank you.
And,
Hold on.
Oh, you kidding me?
On the subject of annoying people named Jay.
Yeah,
What?
exactly. Producer Jay, what do you want?
Corrections.
What? Go.
You said the Eagles had a higher margin of victory when Nick Sirianni's hair was shorter.
Check the stats, bro.
It's called data, bro.
Yeah.
They won those games by more points because they had a weak schedule. Then their schedule got harder, and then they played better teams. It had nothing to do with his haircut.
Oh, yeah, well, you want to see a weak schedule? Look at your social life.
Yeah. You want to see something that never gets hard? Look down your pants.
Oh, great one, Tony.
Let's get out of here.
He's still talking.
What?
You said turnpike is 2 words?
Yeah. Turnpike.
Yeah, it's called English, bro. Learn it.
Yeah.
Turnpike is 1 word, not 2. It's on the sign. You just have to read it.
Oh, well, I got 2 words for you. Douchebag.
Yeah. Here's a sign that you can read. Right there. My finger.
Oh, there you go. Great
Read
one,
that.
Tony.
Now let's get
Wait,
outta
he's
here.
still talking.
What?
Also, you once again said Sirianni is a word that means serious in Italian.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, great name, bro.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't mean serious. I looked it up. It literally means sir or master. So you got that completely wrong.
Oh, I see. Well, master is half how I would describe your love life. The other half is beta.
Yeah, and you know who got something completely wrong? God, when he made your micro dick.
Oh, there you
done.
go. But here's something we didn't get wrong, Tony, because we just got him booked. Just came through. Next week on the show, Super Bowl hero, Eagles legend Nick Foles will be here.
Wow, that's
don't forget,
huge.
go to Apple Podcast and rate and review
Make
this
sure you
show.
rate and review.
And then you click the link for the merch store and
You buy all the merch for the holidays.
That's
Yup.
gift for your friends and family who want it
Exactly.
so desperately.
Buy
And
all the
Tony,
merch.
great job as always.
Same to you, Paulie. Another flawless show.
There you go. We'll see you people next week.
See ya.